moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about IT resilience in the cloud. And again, we have Brian from Zerto joining us for this conversation. But before we dive into to that conversation, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our focus on IT resilience in the cloud and our disaster recovery as a service solution. So for the last 10 years or so, InterVision has refined our disaster recovery as a service offering and expanded its capabilities. And we're very, very proud of the fact that since the inception of both the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Disaster Recovery as a Service and the Forrester Wave for Disaster Recovery as a Service, we've been recognized every year. So that's 5 years in a row for the Gartner Magic Quadrant, for example. And we really believe that that is a recognition of our commitment to offering a very comprehensive approach to disaster recovery. Everything from designing and implementing the runbooks to the ongoing support to the replication and the management of recovery events if and when they need to occur. So our solution is very much designed to be that fully managed approach to deliver complete confidence in your disaster recovery capabilities. And we believe that commitment is reflected in our client feedback. We have a 5-star rating on independent review sites G2 Crowd, as well as Gartner's own Peer Insights online review source that you can view there, where you can see people's satisfaction with our disaster recovery as a service. And our disaster recovery as a service offering has a Net Promoter Score of 90. And for those of you who are familiar with how Net Promoter Score works, anything above 50 is considered to be quote unquote world class. And a big part of how we drive our value through our disaster recovery as a service offering is through our partnership with Zerto. And that's why we've had Zerto join us as a key partner here today to talk a little bit more about IT resilience in the cloud. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Brian at Zerto, and so we can get this conversation rolling. Brian, you can go ahead and take it away.
Good deal. Thank you for the introduction. We'll get started. Sharing the screen. Okay, can everyone hear me okay, first and foremost?
Coming in loud and clear.
Yep, sound check. Check.
Glad to hear it. Okay, so I'll take you through our IT resilience platform and our journey to the cloud. So what is our vision? So at Zerto, we want to enable an uninterrupted world for all technology users, consumers, and businesses. We've been around since 2009, and we have 8,000 or over 8,000 customers globally. Well, what do we want to do? We really want to use our platform to converge cloud mobility, disaster recovery, and backup into a single, simple, easy-to-use platform. So for whether it's mobility to the cloud in this case, disaster recovery to the cloud, backup, we want to put that all into a single console, into a single solution that's easy to support, manage, and deploy. So we enable your journey to AWS, the cloud, in a secure way. We enable your organizations with compliance. As your data grows, as your environment grows, we grow with you. We scale up and we scale out. And we support new features and platforms. As time evolves, we will evolve with your business. As a business, you need to manage all disruptions, both unplanned and planned. For disaster recovery, of course, you have infrastructure failures or site outages and natural disasters. As in, hurricanes, tornadoes, that sort of thing. Definitely hurricanes down in our part of the country in Texas is something we're concerned about. It'll be both a planned and unplanned event. Ransomware, which of course is constantly in the news. It seems like every week or every other day we see a large organization that is either massively impacted, forced to pay for the recovery from ransomware, or in some cases even shuts their doors because they're unable to recover. We have operational recovery, things like user errors, someone deletes a file by accident, for example, or corrupts a SQL database, or deletes a table, things you can recover from using our solution. On top of that, long-term retention. So in addition to our ability to recover from disasters and operational events, we want to enable that long-term retention of data to facilitate compliance when data needs to be maintained. For things like planned events or application mobility, whether you have a planned migration event to the cloud, you can certainly enable that. You're protecting to the cloud, or you just want to use this additionally for dev, test, or future deployments. Let's say, for example, you want to migration of a server into AWS would look like. You can use this to seamlessly test that before the actual event is planned to take place. So in the past, we had an issue, or most organizations have issues where they have a number of tools they use to do different things. In this case, you might have a tool for disaster recovery or replication, using a separate tool set or tool for backup, depending on the solutions you protect. And you want to go to cloud. You have a cloud initiative. But how do you get there? You may have a separate vendor or separate set of tools to accomplish that. What we're trying to do is make it a little bit easier and put it all together, because these solutions all innately interact. So our solution enables all three. We provide disaster recovery, operational recovery, long-term retention. Just to be entirely transparent, we don't have long-term retention for AWS quite yet, though it is coming. In the interest of transparency. The journey to the cloud and operational services. We take all of those and wrap them in orchestration and automation and through continuous data protection and help you both protect and recover your data. So how do we do that? Well, we've got 4 primary pillars. So first, we're continuous block-based replication at the hypervisor level. There are no snapshots. There's no agents to install. We are entirely software-based, which makes us incredibly easy to deploy and service. Our journal. So our continuous journal, or our continuous replication, enables what we call our journal. Think of it as a DVR for your workloads. Not only can you recover your workloads from the most recent point in time, you can recover them from points in time in the past. Our journal has, in many cases, checkpoints in it every few seconds. So, for example, if you wanted to roll back a server upon recovery from an hour ago, or to a point a day ago, or 2 hours and 33 minutes and 10 seconds ago, you could do that using our journal at the point of recovery. Application consistency. So we'll get into more details what these mean in a few slides, but when you recover an application, you're most likely not recovering a single VM. Applications these days can consist of many servers. You might have a SQL server, an application server, maybe a web server. Now, when you recover that application, you're not recovering a single server, you're recovering all of them. And you want to recover them from the same point in time, and we enable that. And simplicity at scale, of course, we scale out. Whether you're protecting a single VM, 10 VMs, 100, or 1,000, the solution looks the same, and it scales out and up with your organization. So always on data protection, again, we are continuous block-based replication with incredibly RPOs. We're software only. There's no hardware to buy. We're storage agnostic, and in a lot of cases, we're version agnostic. So it's very easy to deploy. This can be deployed in production in under an hour. There's no production impact to deployment. If it's in your on-prem environment is vSphere-based, there are no host reboots. There are no vCenter reboots. There are no updates required. And then you just install software and deploy a few components. There's no scheduling, no snapshots or agents. Again, we're continuous block-based replication and hardware agnostic and always replicating. Not going to get too technical here, not going to get too far in the weeds, but this is what our architecture looks like. On-prem, on production, you deploy simply 2 components. First is a ZVM, which is installed on a Windows-based VM, which is software that provides the orchestration, automation, and the dashboard of our solution. Once you deploy the ZVMs, from within the ZVM interface, you will deploy what are called VRAs, small Linux appliances that live on each host that may be servicing a workload you want to protect. Correspondingly, in AWS, you'll deploy what's called a ZCA, a Zerto Cloud Appliance, that takes the functionality of both of those and combines it into a single appliance. It's simply a community-supported AMI, very easy to deploy. Again, this is very easy and practical to deploy in production, non-disruptively. Let's touch on our journal a little bit further. I mentioned earlier that we consider this kind of a DVR for your workloads. As we're continuously replicating, we're also continuously inserting checkpoints into our database. When you go to recover, whether it's a migration or recovery from a previous event or from ransomware infection, you can choose to roll back to any point in our journal. Now, by default, it's set for 24 hours. We usually recommend at least 3 days to cover a weekend. However, it can be set to up to 30 days to give you that level, the ability to operationally recover from any point in time back in the past 30 days. Of course, we're just consuming additional storage to do so. It's worth noting that when replicating AWS, it works even better because we're simply consuming S3 storage. So until you fail over or recover a workload, we just have our ZCA and associated data sitting in S3. So very low cost, very practical. But back to the point, when you do decide to fail over, whether it be a test or live failover or migration, you can fail back to any point in time in our journal or use the latest data. Whatever makes more sense in the situation. On top of that, in our journal, which we consider short-term replication or short-term retention, we also offer long-term retention. Again, this is not yet in AWS, but it is coming. So you have the existing journal, and on top of that, our LTR feature, which is essentially backup. I mentioned earlier about application consistency. So again, when you have an application, whether it be a web application or a CRM application as an example, most likely these things are going to be comprised of many different VMs, many different servers, all serving a small part of that application. Now, traditionally, if you were to recover them using a traditional backup solution, you may get one, when you go to restore them, you may get one server that's restored from slightly after 11 p.m., maybe another from 1 or 2. Then the larger server recovers from a point in time at 4 o'clock, depending on when their backup windows executed. That's not ideal for recovering an application. Each server will be in an inconsistent state. What you ideally want is the application recovered entirely consistently from the same point in time, and that's what we enable. We offer something, it's a basic part of our product called a virtual protection group. When you protect VMs, you'll put them in a VPG. It could be as few as 1 VM, or as many as 100 or more. But the point being that whenever you recover them, they will all recover from the same point in time down to the second. So you get a consistent application recovery. Simply illustrating here, at that point, whenever you do recover them, whether it's as a result of a DR event, a planned migration, etc., they will recover consistently. This is all done via one interface. Our dashboard is the same whether you look at it on-prem or in AWS. Simply when you go to configure replication for VMs or workloads, of course the options will be slightly different. Of course, when you replicate AWS, you'll have AWS specific parameters to configure. And of course, when replicating back out of AWS, you might have vSphere specific parameters. The point being, it's all done via one dashboard that's consistent across target and source. Of course, we have robust reporting. This definitely helps with compliance efforts. Our recovery reports, as an example, or test recovery reports and full recovery reports are incredibly detailed, going down to the individual events. So you definitely have a lot of data to show for your compliance needs. This is an example of the recovery report itself. So how have we helped some of our existing customers, and how can we assist you? So this is just a couple of examples. As an example, we can help in data center consolidations. If you have 4 data centers right now, for example, and you just wanted to use AWS as a target, we could certainly help with that. If this is one of our native solutions we're natively integrated with them. And just at that point, integrating going to public cloud, maybe you could potentially would potentially no longer have need for a second data center as your recovery site. You could use public cloud for that. It's definitely an excellent use case. Now, support is something that we definitely like to tout. And I mentioned previously that for data protection, for your migrations, for your public cloud initiative, you may have many tools spread across many organizations. And this is definitely not the most efficient way to do business. You have to have people with different skill sets that are familiar with different tools that are difficult to support, and most often. So we can take those tools and consolidate them down into a single solution for both data protection, your migration, and your journey to the cloud. A single dashboard, a single interface to enable that journey. And of course, we're avoiding the cost of downtime. Our journal and our replication solution allows you to recover quickly. So if an event were to occur, which a lot of people would say that's not a question of if, but when, you can recover your data consistently with a single process that is incredibly easy to execute. Our failover process is approximately 3 clicks. Anyone that has a tacit familiarity with the solution can accomplish it. We have this data center consolidation message. If you're using public cloud as a target for your opportunity or migration, it's very possible that you wouldn't need the large footprint that you may have in data centers currently. Again, the pillars of our solution: continuous availability. We want to deliver that always-on customer experience. We want to give you the ability to both perform a planned migration to AWS if that's your goal, disaster recovery, of course, and the ability to fail over and migrate as needed. We want to streamline your resources and accelerate digital initiatives, and using our one tool set as opposed to a diverse set of different tools, different purposes. We're going to give you the ability to use that one tool set that your team could be familiar with, streamline your support initiatives, and streamline that migration activity, and of course, cloud agility. We want to give you the ability to seamlessly and easily go from on-prem into AWS. A little bit short. We moved through it pretty quickly, so definitely have some time for some questions if anyone has any.
We had a question that actually just came in. It says here, can I recover a combination of servers for an application using Zerto's orchestration?
Well, yes, absolutely. So it really depends on how you've grouped them when you protect them. I mentioned previously that we have something called virtual protection groups, which are simply a group of one or more VMs you'd want to recover consistently. So of course, you can recover an individual VPG that would have a set of VMs in it. We also offer what's called sub-VPG failover, which means you could fail over just a single VM out of a larger VPG. So if you had 20 VMs, you just need to recover one server. You could certainly do that. So yes, absolutely.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much, Brian. If any other questions come in as we're making this transition, I'll be sure to bring them up. But we do have another.
Hey, Chris.
Go ahead.
There
Yeah.
was one question about doing DR across clouds that I kind of talked to a little bit, but I think Brian would like to hear.
That's it.
Brian.
Yeah. So let's see here. Let me see if I can just read it back. It says, how easy is it to create cross-cloud platform disaster recovery?
So going from, for example, AWS to another alternative?
I can only assume that was from Ken. Ken, if you want to elaborate at any point, let us know. But yeah, I can assume that's what he meant there.
So assuming that was the case, then it's incredibly easy. And we definitely support cross-platform for any platform that we support. Of course, there are 4 platforms we support, and we definitely support interoperability between all 4 of them. So incredibly easy and supported. And the interface, the platform remains the same.
Perfect, perfect. Well, I'll obviously at any point, if any other questions come up, just let us know, and we'll make sure they get addressed here. But I did want to excuse me here. Let me jump forward a little bit. Open up for the next raffle. We have another winner we wanted to share. Our next winner for the raffle is Dawn Higgins at Bungie. So Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, we'll be reaching out with a request for your preferred address to send that Bluetooth speaker over to. So yeah, so I hope that everyone's had an insightful conversation here, has enjoyed the conversation. I do want to give plenty of opportunity for anyone who has any questions to bring those up. Jennifer, if you want to monitor the Q&A section, please let me know if anything else comes in. But again, really today's story we wanted to kind of make sure we left with was that, InterVision is a strategic service provider that's focused on providing support and services and solutions to really meet any stage of your cloud journey. So whether to the cloud or you have very robust operations, we have services and solutions designed to support that. And you've heard a little bit from the AWS team about the incredible return on investment clients are seeing from the AMS offering, which we deliver in partnership with AWS. And then also Zerto, the incredible capabilities of what's possible today with disaster recovery. And obviously we have some expertise there with our disaster recovery as a service solution. So if you do, want to continue this conversation, please go to intervision.com and find the contact us, that form there, and one of our experts will reach out to you right away. We'll also be following up with this recording, with a recording of today's session, of course. And in that email, you'll have an opportunity to just respond and start the conversation that way as well. But ongoing, we've got some other engagements we'll be doing here soon. On May 7th, we have a live discussion and demo on something that I think is very relevant right now. We'll be demoing our remote workforce enablement solution with AWS Workspaces and AppStream 2.0. So obviously with COVID, forcing so many folks to work from home, I know that's top of mind for a lot of organizations, and we have a pretty robust solution there. And then later in May, we'll be running on May 29th a CIO panel. So we've got quite a few CIOs that are coming in and joining us to talk a little bit about what organizations can do in response to the new remote workforce situation, and not only the immediate response, but what do we need to do on the long term for the IT leaders. So I think that'll be a great discussion. And you can register at either of those for either of those webinars or any of our webinars there on our website, intervision.com/webinars. So again, I do want to say thank you to everyone who spent time today. I hope you found this conversation insightful. And if you didn't, please let us know, right? We informative, to provide some insight for you. And we certainly appreciate your feedback and comments. Again, huge thank you to our key strategic partners, AWS and Zerto, for all their thought leadership and insight they provided today, and for the incredible value that they drive through their technologies and services to our services. So thanks again, AWS and Zerto. Thanks to everyone who's joined us today. I'm going to leave the line open just for a little bit longer here to see if we have any other questions. But if not, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and we really appreciate you joining us for Cloud Tech Day.